With that, as many of you know, when I was elected to Congress in 2007, I was the first woman elected to Congress from Massachusetts in 25 years. It was in large part what motivated me. And I ran because I believed that the delegation needed a little diversity. But look how far we've come. Elizabeth Warren was elected in 2012, the first woman elected to the United States Senate from Massachusetts, and Katherine Clark, who's joining us now, was elected in 2013. Prior to running for Congress, Katherine served in the Massachusetts Attorney General's office and is a remarkable state representative and senator. Here, she serves on the House Committee on Science, Space, and Technology, as well as the Education and Workforce Committee, where she is a champion for women and children and is leading efforts to combat the opioid epidemic. Her legislation to help newborns suffering from opioid exposure passed unanimously in the House and was ultimately signed into law by President Obama. Quite a feat for a first term, is it first term? Yeah, first term Congresswoman. Furthermore, Katherine is leading the effort in Congress to prioritize investigations and prosecutions of cyber abuse crimes, particularly those against women. She's been a valued partner in our shared representation of Hanscom Air Force Base and has been a champion for Natick Soldier Systems Center, which is represented here today. Her effectiveness in the Congress earned her a leadership position in the Democratic caucus when she was appointed to serve as a senior whip last year, and I'll let her tell you what that means. I learned what it meant pretty quickly when I got here. So please join me in welcoming Congresswoman Katherine Clark. It's great to have her as part of the delegation.
Thank you. It is wonderful to be here, and I really do mean thank you. Thank you for sending Nikki Tsongas to be here and be part of the delegation and not only representing your district, which she does so well and always has you at the top of the list of priorities and really remembers home, which when you're here for a while, not every member remembers home and the priorities there. But she's also just a wonderful colleague. And when I was first looking at running for Congress, after giving a very, I thought, compelling reason why I would never run for Congress, one of the calls I made was to Nikki to see what her experience was and what she thought could be done. And it's Nikki's words and advice that have really stuck with me and have helped in the last 2 years as we move through a difficult period for Congress where we are not functioning as we should. And what she told me was that there is great opportunity and that if you work hard, you find colleagues. It may be a small bill, it may be a discrete bill, it may be a small item in the budget, but you can change the lives of millions of people. And that's the promise of this job, that's the responsibility. And those words really impressed me. And so I sort of blame you for getting me into all of this. But that's how Nikki governs. And that's the leadership that she shows. And I'm sure that I am preaching to the choir here because you all know that. And we do get to share Hanscom. And Nikki and her work on the armed services has had such effect on Natick Labs, which are also in my district. And every time I go to the base, to the labs, Nikki comes up with the work that she does, the way she works in a bipartisan manner, in her very, as you know, hardworking, classy. She is not the show horse, she's a workhorse, and she just does it with tremendous grace and style. And sometimes I see her in the airport and she's off to go to a Republican district because that's how she knows she's going to meet people, that's how she's going to move things forward. And every time I'm at Hanscom or Natick Labs, they talk about Nikki and the work that she does and the leadership. And I often get to have the privilege of joining in the press conference or in the statements, but really Nikki just was the fundamental person who brought a huge investment of hundreds of $1 millions into Lincoln Labs that is not only going to create immediate jobs in constructing these labs, but is really going to have a major role in our innovation economy, which many of you in this room are a part of. And that's the type of leadership that Nikki shows, and we're so grateful to all of you for sending her to us here in Congress. And I have a little story. Nikki was saying I'm in my first term, and we have been working, as I'm sure many of you know, the opiate crisis has just been devastating. And it doesn't care if you're in a blue state or a red state, doesn't care what your educational attainment is, it doesn't care your income level. It's had a devastating effect. And I hope that none of you have been touched personally by it, but I very much doubt it. And we did get this bill passed, and it was very unlikely that my lead sponsor in the Senate was Mitch McConnell. Not too many people saw us pairing up, but we were able to work together because this issue matters to him, because Kentucky is suffering as well. And that's the sort of leadership and style that I've tried to emulate from Nikki, and the way she does her work. And even when she will stand her ground and stand for her values, she tries to find that common ground. So, but just when you think you're, having co-sponsors like Mitch McConnell, and maybe some people are starting to notice your work. I had an interesting experience. I've already told Nikki this story. A couple of weeks ago, I was getting on the shuttle, as I'm sure many of you came down on the shuttle, and Speaker Ryan was in line for the Boston flight. So I thought, oh, well, put away my little salad I just bought and go say hello. So I went up to Paul Ryan and extended my hand. I said, I'm Katherine Clark from Massachusetts, and I'm wearing the pin. And he's like, oh, so nice to see you. And I said, this was in the middle of the primaries. I said, are you heading up to New Hampshire? And he said, oh, no, I'm not going anywhere near New Hampshire. And he said, are you going up? I said, I am. And he said, are you going to be working for Republicans? I said, no, I'm not. But, and he said, oh, well, I can't talk you into that. I'm like, okay, this conversation is drifting in an odd direction. I'm like, well, no. And so then we're laughing about that. And then he said, so what do you do? So I said, I'm a member of Congress. And he was so embarrassed. And as you can tell, I am quite tall. But so then he got into this quick thing about, well, I'm so tall, I couldn't see your pin. And so we let it go. He's the speaker. But the good thing is that we used that opening to, I have a bill that has come out of some of the online harassment we're working that we think we can get passed in May. And he wrote me a very nice note saying, you're my new Democratic best friend. And so I went back to him and I said, friends don't let friends' bills die. So I think we're gonna be able to get that done. But it was a humbling moment. But I just want to just express what a deep honor it is and a privilege every day when I pull open that door to the House of Representatives to be from Massachusetts, to be able to represent, even though you're not in my district. There's so much that our Commonwealth needs voices for. I'm very proud that we are able to reauthorize the No Child Left Behind and have Congress function like it should. We were able to put it together. We had a conference committee, which I got to sit on, and we made improvements. Is it the bill I would have drafted? No, but that's not the point. The point is that we come to consensus, we hash out our differences, and we have a bill that moves education forward for the children in the future of the Commonwealth and of our country. And I think we have to build on that example. We have to start flexing that muscle that allows us to come together on the issues that we can. And in Massachusetts, to be at the heart of an innovation economy, to have our wonderful UMass system, to have our other institutes of higher education, we can be the leaders in making sure that every child can afford to go to college. We can be the ones who understand that investment in research and development creates jobs, it helps us abroad, and it's good for our national security. We know all these things because that's how our economy grows and thrives. And you are part of that. So I know you have an incredible advocate in Representative Tsongas, but I hope that if there is anything we can do, that you will feel free to call on my office as well. And I'm just so grateful for all of you being here. This is a tremendous showing, and for taking the time to come to Washington and let us hear about your experiences and how we can be helpful. And just one more time, thank you for sending Nikki to Congress. She really is one of the true leaders of in the House, and we are very grateful for her work and for your work as well. Thank you.
Well, as you can see, Katherine's a great addition to our delegation. I mean, I think the takeaway really is that we do have a remarkable delegation, but it's also reflective in so many respects of a remarkable Commonwealth that is, in so many instances, a leader. And I feel fortunate, as I'm sure you're going to hear from Congressman Neal, as you just heard from Katherine, to be a part of the representation.